Okay, buying on terms. So let's say you go and you want to get a big item. All right, so buying on terms involves you'll often have to pay a deposit, all right, and then you'll pay the balance plus interest. Now, if you've paid the deposit, all right, you don't have to pay interest on the deposit. You pay that up front, and anything else you still owe them, you pay interest only on that. So buying on terms involves paying a deposit and then paying the balance plus interest in regular, which is usually monthly installments. Buying on terms is also called hire purchase. Example 5. Andrew is buying a new dining room setting priced at $3,850 on terms. He pays a 20% deposit and then fortnightly installments of $77 for 2 years. All right, often we'll guide you on what to do. What's the deposit? It's a 20% deposit. 20% of what? So the deposit is 20% of $3,850. So he sees the price. He's going to pay 20% of that price up front. 20% of $3,850 is 20 over 100 times 3,850, which is $770. So the dining setting is $3,850. He's just handed over $770. What does he still owe them? What's the balance owing? How do you work it out? Minus the $770. Does this make sense? It's priced at $3,850. He's just paying. He's saying to them, right, I'm going to give you a deposit. What do we get here? $3,080? Yeah. Okay, good. Now, okay, so he still owes $3,080. Let's just go back to the question. He's paid this 20% deposit, which is $770, and then he pays fortnightly installments of $77 for 2 years. So he pays $77. How many times? How many fortnights in a year? And how many years? So the total amount paid in installments, he's paying $77 a fortnight. So 77 times 26 times, that's 1 year. Does that make sense? Times 2. That's his total repayments. Does that make sense? They're telling you exactly what he's paying back, so just work it out. What do you get? He still owes them $3,080, but he ends up paying them back $4,004. How much interest? What's he paying interest on, the $3,080 or the $3,850? No. It's $4,004 take away $3,080. Why should he pay interest on that $770 he's already paid up front? He's already paid that up front. He doesn't pay interest on that. He only pays interest on what he still owes them. Okay, so he pays them $770. He still owes them $3,080. They're going to make him pay interest on the $3,080, not on the $770 he's already paid, and not on the $3,850. That wouldn't be fair. You only pay interest on what you're borrowing. Get $924. So now, the flat rate interest per annum. There are 2 ways of doing this. You can use I equals PRN, but there is another method, but I'll just use I equals PRN. So what's the interest? Girls, what's the interest? What's the principal? What are you borrowing? What are you borrowing? $3,080. I'm underlining that. You're going to highlight that so you don't mess it up. What's the interest rate? We don't know. And what's the N? 2 years. So because I'm putting 2 years, so girls, the interest that you're paying is $924. The principal, the amount that you're borrowing, is $3,080. The interest rate, we don't know, but it's definitely 2 years. Okay? So that means my interest rate is going to come out per annum, isn't it? So what's 3,080 times 2? 6,160 times R. So now how do I work out R? Multiply or divide over 6,160, 0.15 exactly. All right, girls, 0.15. What? That's interest rate as a decimal, which is how it's supposed to be when you use the formula. It's 15% per annum. Example 6. Sonia purchased a new plasma TV valued at $6,990. She pays a 10% deposit and she repays the balance in 60 months. They're not telling me what she's paying per month. We're going to have to work it out, all right? All right. Interest is charged on the balance at a flat rate of 14% per annum. Flat rate means simple interest. All right, we will guide you. What's the deposit? 10% of what? 10% of 6,000. How do you find 10% nice and easily? You divide it by 10. 10% is 1/10. $699. All right. What do you still owe them? That's the balance owing. The TV's almost $7,000. They've paid $699 deposit, which means that they now owe $6,990 minus $699, which is $6,291. The interest charged, I equals PRN. That's the only way I can do it. I don't know what my monthly installments are. So what information have I got? I is question mark. What am I borrowing? 6,291. The interest rate is what? 14% per annum, which is 0.14. Girls, go back to the question. How long is it going to take me to pay it off? 60 months, which is, I don't want months because the interest, that's 5 years. Because it's 60 divided by 12. So I go, I equals PRN. 6,291 times 0.14 times 5 years. What do we get? $3.70. $4,403.70. So girls, you've already paid your $699. That's done. You still owe them $6,291. Yes, you're going to pay back that $6,291 and you're going to pay back the interest on that. So what's the total to be repaid still? $6,291 plus, what do you still owe them, in other words? $6,291 and the interest. Does that make sense? Plus 4,403.70. What does that equal? $10,694.70. So I still owe them that. Okay, go back to the question. Repays the balance and the interest, obviously, in 60 installments. How much is in each installment? What do I do with this number? So each monthly installment is $10,694.70 divided by 60, which is? 178.25. So in other words, every month, is that exact? 245. Well, 245, it's going to have to be $178.25 because if you pay back 24 cents, you're not going to pay it off. Okay, so girls, what did we end up paying for that TV altogether? Look at everything. There's a few ways you can do it. Your hands. $6.99, didn't you? And you're paying this installment, $178.25, how many times? Money left your hands. That's the total price paid for the TV. The money that's left your hands is the deposit. And then you paid them $178.25 60 times. Does that make sense? Which is, now, wait, which is what? 11,394 point. All right. Who wants to pay $11,400 for a $7,000 TV? Now, the other way you can work out the total price paid for the TV, but we will have a slight rounding error, is just to add the interest, which is 4,403.70, to the actual price, to the price of the TV, which is $6,990. So that is another way of doing that question. Okay, now you will get a slight difference, and you get $11,393.70 because you're adding the actual interest there to the actual price of the TV. Or you could add the $699, the $6,291, and the interest. The reason this differs from this by 30 cents is because this has been rounded for each instalment. Look, I would probably go this first method here because you are actually paying back that 25 cents there. For the last question here, loan repayments, we've been, this is very similar to what we were doing there. So loans can be used to make purchases. Loans can either be what's called a flat rate loan or a reducible rate loan. At the moment, we're just looking at flat rate loans. So money can be borrowed from a financial institution, such as banks, and interest is charged only on what you still owe them, and you pay off what you owe them in regular installments. Okay, so we're looking at flat rate interest loans today, and the formula that you use for flat rate interest loans is the simple interest formula, which is I equals PRN. And interest is always calculated here on the original amount borrowed. So here's an example. Chris borrows $20,000 to buy a car. She pays the loan in monthly installments of $480 over 5 years. So you can physically see what she's paid back, $480 over 5 years. So what's the total that she repays to the bank? It's 480 times, now that's monthly installments, so that's times 12, because it's 480 a month, 12 months in a year. So it's 480 times 12, that's the amount for 1 year, times 5. And so she repays back $28,800. Remember, she's only borrowed $20,000 to buy the car. So obviously the extra is the interest on the loan. So the interest is $28,800, take away $20,000, which is $8,800. Now we're asked for the flat rate of interest. So we're asked for interest, we'll use the simple interest formula, I equals PRN. Well, we know from the part before that the interest is $8,800. She's borrowing the whole $20,000 from the bank because she's not making a deposit. The interest rate we don't know, and N is 5 years. Now, if we want the flat interest rate per annum, the time needs to be per annum, like per year, or in years, sorry. So therefore, interest is $8,800, the principal is $20,000, the rate we don't know, and N is 5. So 20,000 times 5 is 100,000, times R is 8,800. To find R, we divide 8,800 by the 100,000. I'm just going to cancel off some zeros. So therefore, R is going to be 88 over 1,000, which is 0.088. Okay, I mean, you can put 8,800 over 100,000, but you know, you're entering 4 less digits into the calculator if you're cancelling out 2 zeros from the numerator and 2 from the denominator. And we know that that is the interest rate as a decimal, so you have to times that by 100. So times that by 100 gives me 8.8% per annum, and therefore that is the flat interest rate on the loan. Now I'm going to show you an alternative method to calculate the interest rate. And a lot of people actually like this method. Now, if we look back at the question, we've paid $8,800 interest over 5 years, and we've borrowed $20,000. So I'm just going to put that the interest over 5 years that was repaid is $8,800. If you want the flat rate interest per annum, I need the interest over 1 year. Will be 8,800 divided by 5. Now, 8,800 divided by 5 is, so 8,800 divided by 5 is $1,760. So therefore, the interest rate, in other words, you're paying $1,760 per year for the 20,000 borrowed. So you just go 1,760 over the 20,000 times 100. That's another way of doing it. So 1,760, just going to put my little calculator there. So get that answer, divide it by 20,000, get an answer, and then times it by 100 to change it to a percentage, and you can see that we get 8.8% per annum. Okay, so that is, sorry, I'll just fix this up. So we get 8.8% per annum.